Hello, everybody.
Hi.
It's us again.
It is us.
Man, oh man, when I tell you, hasn't it been a year?
It's been a year.
Yeah. So we're in 2022 now.
Woo-hoo. We need the streamers and the confetti and all that kind of stuff. You want to do some old school, something like that? Because, he's corny like that.
Well, my wife, she's taking that lead right now, so, I'll let her have it. So. Well, it's us again. We're the Williams. This is my lovely wife, Ramona. And my name is Wilbert, aka Will. And we're here again with our final edition of Love Unscripted. Yes, indeed. And so, our topic tonight is one I hope that is a blessing to everyone who hears it, and I think it's a good one.
I think it's a good one too.
I think it's a good one.
Who came up with it, babe?
We did.
Oh, you're so sweet. Good answer.
So the topic tonight is: do you have reasonable expectations of your spouse?
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good one because sometimes in our life, sometimes we don't necessarily have reasonable expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have expectations nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's okay to, how you have to audit your finances. You do a reassessment of self. I think whenever we do a reassessment of our relationships, that's one of the things that we should assess, like our expectations of our spouse.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure
and so, like what my wife was saying, I think what happens is sometimes you'll set these expectations and these expectations aren't met, but you have to ask yourself, was that really reasonable?
I mean, you just reset the title, but
I'm
feeling it.
Was that really reasonable? And
yeah.
Sometimes you got to go back and, like my wife said, you have to reassess those expectations, not only of yourself but of your spouse, because sometimes you can set expectations of your spouse based on someone else's expectations and not of your own.
Okay. That's
and not of your own. Sometimes it's something you've read, something you've seen on TV, something you've heard in a conversation.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Or a past relationship.
Right.
Or a past relationship. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, no two people are alike.
Right.
And so here you are, you're basing it off of things that you've seen, heard, or experienced that really doesn't apply to that moment, to that person, to that individual. So you have to go. I think it's important to go back and reassess and ask yourself, were those expectations of your spouse reasonable?
Let me give you a pat on your back because I felt like you wanted to pat me. That was good though. And I think a barometer for determining whether or not they are reasonable, something you said, Bae, I don't even know if you realize it. You said when they aren't met, then going back to even the idea of, it wasn't met. Was it something that was reasonable
Come
or
on.
not? That's so simple.
Yes.
Because we don't often give our spouses the benefit of the doubt. Or we don't give them, let me say it in a more positive way. We could probably give them the benefit of the doubt more. Right? And so when an expectation isn't met, it's like, he or she didn't do it because blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But it could have been an expectation that was set that was so lofty or so out of left field, so unexpected, that person didn't even know it was an expectation. So
Mm.
how can they meet your expectations if they don't know it? That is an expectation. And if your spouse said, "Hey, I didn't know that that was an expectation," then I think it would be suffice to say that it's not reasonable.
Yes.
It has to be said for it to even be reasonable, right?
Absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
or communicated, and not one
Mm-hmm.
of those silent communication like, "Oh, you should have known."
Oh
You
my gosh.
know,
That's the worst
how could
kind.
you have not known?
Oh, you didn't know?
Look, I
You have to ask? That kind of expectation.
and because there's so many reasons why that person might not think that way.
Absolutely.
So many reasons, and that goes to giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. No two people are alike.
Yeah.
No two people think alike.
Yeah.
And so, what your expectations are may not be their expectations to understand, to even understand. So, if you haven't had that conversation with them, you're really blindsiding them, and it's really kind of unfair.
Yeah.
Because you're not giving them that opportunity to say, well, yeah, I can do that, or I'm not quite there, I'm not quite understanding, or they might not even have the capacity to even meet that expectation. Sometimes you might have to accept.
Okay.
Sometimes you might have to accept the effort. You might just have to accept the effort.
Yes.
And not the completion. Because
wow. Sometimes you might have to accept the effort and not the completion.
Yeah.
So then, question for you, babe. So what do you do when it's effort has been put in there and not completion? How do you respond?
So you welcome that, and you appreciate the effort. You appreciate the try, because you don't know what the if you haven't given the opportunities for the abilities to develop over time, being patient with each other, you just gotta welcome the effort. Now,
because I can give an example. Can you remember what you're about to say?
Go ahead.
So look, let me give y'all this example. So I typically, we're talking about laundry here, right? So in laundry, I do the majority of the laundry things, right? My husband helps, but I do the majority. A lot of times, even when he does help, I'll still put my things up. I may have shared this before. I'll still put my things up. Like he'll put his things up, but I still put my things up because I know where I want them to be. Now, there have been on occasion when he probably realized she feels overwhelmed. Sometimes you can just sense that in your partner. So he goes an extra mile. He'll put up his stuff and he'll put my things away. Now, that is a perfect example of accepting that effort.
Yes.
Because I might go a month without being able to find something because he has placed it somewhere where I probably would not have placed it.
That's a perfect
example. And in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, I know. So this is my expectation. Oh, you're going to put it away. Of course, you've seen where that has been in this drawer or hanging here. So of course you would put that there. So that's my unspoken expectation. But for him, it's like he's not paying attention to where all my little things are in drawers and hung up and stuff. And so what I have learned is, and babe, have I ever like called you on any of that? Like one time. Okay. But then I learned that, you know what? Okay, I appreciate the effort. So maybe I can't find it right away, a particular item, but guess what? It's done. And so, first of all, I didn't put the expectation out. I could have set a different expectation for when he does, assist in that type of way. But he did the effort, and it was a complete thing, but a complete in a different type of way. And
Absolutely.
so I just had to accept that. Now, I think something that we could have gone back on is had a conversation as to what that looks like, because it could have been a conversation where it went a different way than I even expected. Like he could have said, you know what, I put forth effort, and I wish you could appreciate the effort, because I didn't know there was an expectation that this particular color shirt needs to be in this particular drawer. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's my little example of
Mm-hmm.
um, effort, accepting the effort.
Right. I think everything works so much better when the expectations are attainable. When they
Mm-hmm.
are they're you measure them by your abilities, your time,
Yeah.
what you can put into it, and work out those expectations, and that
Yeah.
way you can reach those goals.
Yeah.
When you give expectations that's kind of you know maybe not even in the character of the person that you're putting them on. It's almost like giving them a math problem that they've never taken a class on. I hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get it. I get
Yeah.
it.
And you're saying, well, it's math.
Mm-hmm. You've experienced math
You've
before.
done math
You know
before.
one plus one is two.
It's
Just do all the other
it's
stuff.
math.
Oh,
And so you
that's
step back and you
different.
walk away and you think, oh well, it's math. They should be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you come back and it's geography, but you say, well, it's 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's the math that I know, but I don't know geography, but so I just did what I could.
Geometry.
Oh, see, I love that. That's funny as I'll get out. But you see, point exactly. My thing was trigonometry, but but that's see, yeah, geography. But you see how the planes are so different. So it's math, and this is not even the study of math. This is geometry. This is, geography, geometry, trigonometry.
Let me help you make
So,
your exit.
so my point is, my wife just threw me out, but that's perfectly right. But you see how they're two different expectations. You feel like they should be able to do it, and in their understanding is it's not there.
Yeah, that's
It
good.
makes that moment trivial.
Yeah.
But the effort, they put forth the effort, but it's not what you wanted. So you should have made it clear.
Yeah.
Or help them understand it.
Yeah. That geography threw me off. But yeah, just the idea of being able to communicate what the effort is. And there are so many categories that we could probably not
Oh
even
my
list them
God.
all of communication areas for reasonable expectations. Even if you just start base level
Really?
communications, like even identifying what are some of the top areas that either you want to have clear expectations in, or some that you are clear on that you struggle in, and then just set those expectations. And anytime an expectation is put out there and it seems unreasonable, have the conversation.
Please say something.
Say something. Yes. Have the conversation that you don't think is reasonable, or have the conversation. Let's say you did put the expectation out there and it was deemed reasonable by the both of you, and it still didn't turn out the way you expected, because hey, we communicated about this expectation. It is reasonable, but the outcome wasn't what we were expecting. Have the conversation. I think there's so many things that can be alleviated with just a simple form of communication. But the big thing is, I think expectations are needed in so many areas in a relationship.
Yeah.
And the caveat to that is making those expectations reasonable. So sometimes we have to check ourselves and say, is this, excuse me, Is this expectation reasonable? Am I being fair to my spouse?
Come on. And so when something, those kind of efforts are put in place, and they may not meet those expectations, you have to ask yourself, do I it's okay. Do I allow that to irk me? Do I allow that to annoy me? Do I allow it? Do I, just because they didn't meet it but they tried? And because it wasn't completed the way you thought it should be completed, should that be the whole premise of my disappointment? Or should I just say to myself, you know, this can be finished at, another time. Maybe there wasn't enough time. Maybe something took place that didn't allow that to be completed. Listen to the whys. Ask why before you assume or before you prejudge. There's reasons why certain things don't happen. Always think about giving your spouse a benefit of the doubt. Ask the question, and then when you ask the question, listen attentively, but don't prejudge.
Excuse me.
I think it's important that you should welcome the effort. Again, there's different platforms, different levels. Start, like my wife says, start baseline.
Yeah.
Setting those expectations and working your way up and working through them and coming together and saying, okay, feeling the gratitude and appreciation of every effort that's put forth, loving the moment, enjoying the moment, welcoming the moment, opening up to the moment, and embodying who the two of you are in these expectations. Talk about them, make sure they're clear, and make sure that they're attainable. Please be fair in the expectations, because sometimes they can be unreasonable. They can be very unreasonable. But do you have reasonable expectations of your spouse? You're no longer two, but you are one.
Well, I mean, I think you have said enough.
Yeah?
Said it all.
Okay.
Reasonable expectations. So we speak into your life that in 2022.
She took the words out of my mouth.
You want to finish it?
No, go ahead.
That you will have reasonable expectations for your spouse, that the gateway of communication will be open. You will be receptive to each other, respectful to each other, willing to compromise, not really worried who's right, but what is right for your relationship.
Yes.
And setting those expectations and trying your best to meet the expectations set by your spouse. And when they aren't clear, just having a conversation and saying, hey, I don't quite get it, or I didn't know that was an expectation. Let's have a conversation so we can get it right the next time. And it will be, I think, one of my favorite words, fruitful for you in 2022. I did not mean for that to rhyme. And just a great launching pad for the rest of the year and the years to come.
And one more thing is, when you set these expectations, base your expectations off of what's within your range of achievement, not based on what you've seen on TV, some drama, some movie, some conversation, some he said, she said, some book, okay? Because books don't know you, all right? Make sure it's understandable. Make sure it's reasonable. Make sure that it's attainable. And I believe what you'll see over time of doing that, every time those goals are met, the effort will get greater, be more enjoyable. It'll be more welcome. The expectations will be more welcome, and I think that they will become. It'll be a joy to do them, and not feeling like it's a burden. So, are your expectations reasonable? Please make sure they are. And we say, hope to you all, blessings to you all. You're no longer two, but you are one.
That's our last one.
It's our last one, guys.
52 weeks.
And we thank you all.
Thank you for joining us.
Joining us each week. Take care.
Love you.
Love you. Peace in 2, 2, 2.